This is C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate. The topic today is how to logically start a business of your own. Be that, of course, a small business from your home to start with. I know in the 1930s, 1920s, 1900s, even 1800s at times, that not very many businesses started this way. But the one thing, of course, many businesses in the later years, pardon me, started on what people knew how to use as a trait. Be that, of course, they were able to open their shops without putting any revenue towards any piece of land, besides putting a particular house of theirs or a cabin slash house that they lived in on a piece of land as well. Even say many miles or distances or however many distances that there were. But technically, seen with many businesses, especially in retail, going downhill. One of which was, of course, that Sears, Kmart, and then Circuit City went completely under and into non-existence. Aside from the fact that Circuit City is said to make a comeback, but they want to do it the size of what Radio Shack was the size of in their stores, and of course. Sears Kmart started depleting together, granted, even though after the fact that Kmart went over into Section 11, sold their rights to NASCAR, and eventually was able to merge with Sears. Of course, Sears had their own issues, but now extremely worse now. Even before now, of course. And then, of course, when Lowe's acquired Orchard Supply Hardware, that that Lowe's stupidly decided to close a number of the Orchard Supply Hardware stores. One of the many stores that were known as a family type of you know. Basically, the store was older than Lowe's, and many generations of families went to Orchard for various different things and various different reasons. Of course, what I mentioned in about Lowe's was that Lowe's could have easily had Orchard expand beyond the 99 stores and the 99 numbers of stores anyway, and Lowe's would close like one or two Lowe's stores essentially, and therefore the more Orchard Supply Hardware stores that would open, Home Depot on the sidelines would look at the fact that Orchard is expanding and try to target them in competition and leave Lowe's alone. But no, Lowe's decided to do something stupid by closing all 99 stores of Orchard, which was a bad business move in my opinion. Which basically will show economically eventually. And open about 2 to 3 more of their stores under the Lowe's name, and yet they're not doing so well either on either aspect, right? Because Home Depot has the lead of the hardware industry in the retail industry, and and of course, let's see. Now we got J.C. Penney's trying to make a slight comeback by trying to outdo and debunk Sears. Macy's is having a moderate issue now. But yet, the reason being is because their prices are too damn fucking high. For the wealthy mainly, and Macy's never used to be that way. Of course, I remember when I went to Macy's with my mother and grandmother, it was more comparable than it's become. And of course, with the fact that Macy's is said, and I'm just saying, is said to be associated with Bloomingdale's, that's a good. That could be also a good percentage why. Of course, Neiman Marcus isn't any better in price difference, and neither is Nordstrom. Um, but all in all, is that Macy's needs to let go of Bloomingdale's, let it be a free reign retailer, and Albertsons in the same base needs to let go of Safeway. Let Safeway be a free bird as it was even before the acquisition. Trait started in any part of the year, or any year for that matter. Because of course Albertsons isn't really doing themselves any better, and that proved with the fact that after they wiped Lucky's off the map of the retail map, that they were pretty much on their own, and Albertsons essentially thinks that they can use Safeway as a saving grace of sorts. Mm-mm. You don't do that in business. If Albertsons is not able to handle things on their own in the competitive world, even against Walmart's food stores and Walmart big box stores, then Albertsons has only one option: fold. Or sell itself to Safeway, to where Safeway owns every part of it. Therefore, Safeway can easily rename it if they so choose. And of course, we've got J.C.Penney's. J.C.Penney started way before any of them. In fact, it was called the Golden Rule Store back in the day, in the Western years. When there was saloons of barbers and sheriff buildings and such, and post offices and banks were separate as well, as they are now. But Mr. Penny wanted something just as much as the founders of Long's wanted. And stupidly enough, the CEO and president of Long's did not foresee what the brothers truly wanted for that company of Long's. I saw it, but they didn't. And as I've said before, they should have called me up and said, Dave, you want to take over an operation of the company? I would have said, hell yes. And if any company wanted me to help them to know how to get better without anything, and there is one company in the fast food industry, though, outside of all the other the fast food franchises, and outside of all the retailers, and of course department stores and everything else, right? And even the ones that are not in those particular two industries, there's one thing that they could have done in the very fucking beginning. And one of which is what In-N-Out Burger has done from the very beginning. They never went public. Thereby, they don't have to worry about apprising their investors. They don't have to kneel down to their investors and do whatever the hell their investors even suggest. like many other companies have had to do in so many years, even before. Mm, that's the upscale part of it that's working for business that could easily be working for many businesses, even in this economy. With that said, if you want to know more onto that, let me know. But here's the topic, as I said, is the start of how to start your own business, and one of which is simply that you can easily do what interests you. Like it could be a hobby, it could be a side job that you would do for, say, your family members or friends. Like when it comes to auto mechanic, repair of plumbing, um, fixtures or anything in that sense that you like to do, especially painting, as well as doing what Leonard Nimoy did on the side of Star Trek and his other acting job, and his other parts of acting. Anyways, he did photography. And there's many other things besides. There's one woman that's doing even a side job as a hairstylist. Of course, a number of these things you have to go through schooling for, but the things that you enjoy doing in the sense of hobbies to start with, even when it comes to repairing and rebuilding and fixing things, and if you know you can afford it, do it. The one thing is also, once you do this and once you become well known, you can acquire some income. But here's the one thing though. If you go to the points to where you show that you're trying to make an income while doing the side job or your interest, that will show more than the rainbow does after it rains. Essentially, let's put it that way. The basic fact is that many people like the fact that you enjoy doing what you enjoy doing, but you don't want to show that you're doing it just to, in a sense, let's put it another way. You don't want to go in the sense of people thinking that it's generally with an aspect that you are in it for only one thing. And you want to show that you enjoy doing it, and you can also show that you don't mind doing it for nothing, as a friendship thing, or you simply you can also do it in a sense of to where if they like what you do, then they can easily go to points um, of paying you, but you don't want to go to the points to where you are trying to do it just for this particular thing. There you go. You don't want to show that you're doing it for that reason. But also, most importantly, you need to make sure that you're able to afford the things continuously. Even if, and you could be doing this if you have Social Security, if you're on Social Security income, if you're on any type of income, really. And trust me on this, you will be well known for it. Plus, who knows? It could be an ongoing thing. But the one thing is also, even if it turns into an ongoing thing, to where you do eventually do acquire an income from doing so, while at the same time don't show you're doing it just for that. Okay. Um, then you would need to still resupply yourself, right? But at the same time, now too, is that you will have to make sure that it will be something that you will enjoy doing on an ongoing basis. Yeah, I know there are hobbies that we eventually get tired of doing, that we want to try something different, right? But the one thing is, if you show that you enjoy doing a particular thing, be that of course what would be known for you as a hobby, then you yourself, before you go into this venture, though, need to make sure that you would enjoy doing it on an ongoing basis. Then, when you get to knowing how to do something else, as even as a hobby, then you can add that into it. But you need to make sure that that you are able to afford both or just the one, and keep doing that. And sometimes the one thing though too is that these particular hobbies, even when it comes to um, things that you enjoy doing, even if you do it in the sense of a small business aspect, it doesn't hurt to have a second or third helping. Be that, of course, have someone else, friends or family, join in with you. Therefore, if you do get paid, you would be able to associate that ever so gradually, but not that first, not at second. If they see it, if you do the job continuously, then you say, okay, these two people helped me, or this one person helped me with the project, or whichever the case. Never discount the people who helped you, though. But at the same time, is that with that, you would also be adding your friends or family into it, but yet if they try to take over, you can push them away and get someone else in their place. And yet, I know there might be some sort of scuffling or whatever, but the one thing is, um, is that you would easily be able to make a more than perfect income, and over the years anyway. But at the same time, is that you don't want to show that you're only doing it for that, as I said before. Because if you show that you enjoy doing your hobby, that you're essentially doing for somebody else, and in the sense of painting something, like a portrait, or paint, or doing some paint work in someone's house, or even a portrait, or repairing a vehicle, bikes, any number of things, right? Um, you need to make sure that you enjoy doing it, and you don't want to show that you're only doing it for this. Because if you show that you're only doing it for this, even if you outright say it, never. That's another big no-no. Never outright say it before you even do it. Because everybody needs friends, and everybody needs someone um to uh, to talk with and everything too. Because that's what Heavenly Father wants us to do, to get along with everybody as much as possible. But if they do you wrong, then you can cut them off. But if you do them wrong, they can cut you off. The one thing is also, as you do this, you can go to the points of making T-shirts. You can go to the points of even making business cards. If you enjoy doing this on an ongoing basis, right? Then, then who knows? It's like a word, like the way business is always gone by in the sense of advertisement. Before there was ever TV commercials, okay, and before there was ever newspaper ads, for that matter, it was always this. How do you suppose blacksmiths in the Old West got as much business as they did? It wasn't just simply because they were in the same town as everybody else. Those who came through town, that one town, may have saw it, may have heard about it by this word of mouth. That's your best advertisement that anybody can get. If one person that you've helped even more than once, especially and done and shown good service without showing that you are only doing it for this, even without saying it, right? Then you're gonna get continued, you know, you're gonna get continued business essentially. That's what many of these business, even today, these big chain businesses are missing the actual concept of, is they're all focused on making the money and paying for and able to pay the lease and all this other stuff, right? And the way they've been doing it for since what, the 1920s, 30s, when television first came about, was mostly radio, right? But also it was also then when TV came about, it was eventually through TV ads. Those can make the company lose money more than the company can gain. The more you lose money versus gain, you're not really doing yourself or your business any special favors or any positive levels, are you? And on top of that too, if people say you should go public when it comes to stock market, it may have been seen as a good, profitable thing in years before this, several years before this, but it eventually got to the point where those investors became greedy, only about themselves and their income and their wallets and their pockets, which I can understand on one aspect, but not if it means the longevity and lifespan of the company and its stores or its shops or whatever the hell, or even the franchises, what have you. The one thing is, I believe you can do it, but the one thing is, again, you need to believe in yourself. But most importantly, also, you need to make sure that you can afford the continued aspect of reassessing the things that you would need to keep on doing it. And trust me, you will, and you will see a positive light. But the one thing is, I can't stress this enough. If you are working and you only do this type of thing on the side, no matter how many people you are getting, even due to the word of mouth, don't automatically quit your job until you know for sure that you can make it without that income from your employer. But the one thing is, don't jump into the small business aspect, in the swimming pool of the small business aspect, um, uh, even prematurely. Because if you quit your job prematurely, you may find that you may not be able to afford it so much, because you may not be getting that many aspects of business from any numbers of people, because depending on what it is, it could be only every so often, even during the summer months and whatnot else too, and even before the holiday, and even during the holidays, even along the same lines of the holidays. Um, you need to be very more than wary of that. But if you're doing something that would benefit people for the holidays, especially when it comes to gift giving, that there's a plus. But you do not want to go to where you're in competition with the chains, the ones that are bigger before you even started, especially. Because if you do that, you're not doing yourself a favor. You're making the consumer go straight towards where they have to spend way more versus way less. And eventually, you can, if you do it enough, and you come and you say do, and you're able to add more onto it, then you can easily put it on a blog site, or even via Facebook. Trust me on that. If you have any questions, though, please let me know at the C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate on my Facebook page, and or below this video. Um, if you have any other questions that I may have not have mentioned, be sure to ask, and I will do my best to help you out by answering the questions. This is C.R.P.H.A. Business Advocate, and I want you to both have a beautiful weekend, beautiful week, and also do not stress out, and also never give up on yourself, or on your families, or your children, or anything else for that matter. Because trust me on that, on the one base, is that everybody needs somebody sometime, for one, and also you need you, and you have to have confidence within you, no matter what you do, and belief and trust within yourself, besides love within yourself as well. And may Heavenly Father bless you all. And if you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll be getting updates on my other videos besides this one. Besides this one here. We built this city. We built this city. Have a good day.